Welcome to Community Connections, RCCA's own locally produced program that highlights the activities, people, conversations, and events that mean most to you in Southwood County. My name is Tom Laux, and on today's program, we're going to learn more about the Tribune Building Project. Helen Jungwirth and Kristi Anderson, both from the Incourage Community Foundation, join us in the studio to share their insights on the progress of the monthly idea sharing meetings for the building. So please enjoy this December edition of Community Connections and see what makes this southern area of Wood County so special. I have Helen Jungwirth, former publisher of the Daily Tribune, and we're going to talk about the Tribune Building. As you all know, Incourage Community Foundation purchased the building recently. So Helen, tell me about the building's history.
Well, you know, Tom, this building was, the doors opened in May of 1960. Prior to that, Mr. Huffman spent a couple of years working with architects and builders to design the building. You know, he had a vision for having that paper and radio station. Let's not forget WFHR was also housed in the building in 1960. But he had a vision for it to be in the center of the community. He really felt that it would be available to all members of the community. Engagement and information were really important. And so when he looked around the city and the downtown, he saw that spot along the river and he thought it would be the perfect place for his Tribune and radio station to be housed. He went to the City Hall to get building permits to build the building at that site, and he was denied the permits. And he looked at them and said, well, you know what, that's okay, because there's another location downstream from the river that would be a great spot. And it wasn't long before the city issued him the permits. So the building opened in 1960, and the radio station was on the bottom floor and the top floor was the news. It was a great day for Mr. Huffman to see his vision of that newspaper building finally opened.
Let's talk a little bit about the architectural design. Everybody knows the front part is round.
Yeah.
It's unique.
Well, you know what? It's not really round. It's 16-sided, but it looks round, and it is definitely a very unique building. You know, actually, there's almost 20,000 square feet in that building. The round part of the building did house the employees that, as you well know, the newsroom, advertising, circulation, and the business office were all in the round parts of the building, first on the first floor and the second floor. The building is made of concrete. It is, if you ever have an opportunity to go into the building and really look, because in the days when we worked there, we weren't really looking up at the ceiling wondering what it was built of, but it is concrete slab. And when Mr. Huffman had the building designed, he was able in the future to add a third floor to that 16-sided building if he needed to expand.
Well, that building is relatively new. It's the 1950s, not very old. It's got a lot of life left. It
does, and we did have the building inspected, and it is structurally sound. We may have some issues with heating and air conditioning and perhaps some of the electrical, but the building is structurally sound. Now, the building is held up by the 16 posts that, you know, we talk about the 16 sides, and so when people look at the building or when we work there, you know, we had offices and cubicles, but those are not supporting walls, so that building could literally be a huge, huge open area if that's what the community decides it wants to be.
Well, that's really unique. You know, it has the press area where the press was. There was originally 2 different presses in that building.
Right. The first press that was in the building when the doors opened in 1960 was a 4-unit letter press. And at the time, it was state-of-the-art, I would imagine. When it started, the whole building would rumble, and it took quite a while for the paper to be printed. If you had color or if you had more than 2 sections, we always had to do early runs. And the press, you know, it was a tedious operation back then. But in 1989, I always compare it to the Christmas story, the Red Ryder BB gun story, the gun that Ralphie wanted. We got a 10-unit Gauss offset press, and we had to build onto the building. There's a new press room area that, you know, housed that humongous press. That press could print anything, and you know, our old press foreman Bruce Lieberg would say, you know, Helen, you sell it and we'll print it. And we did a lot of that work for other businesses in town, as well as we printed the Adams Friendship paper and other papers in central Wisconsin. It was such an exciting time for anybody connected to the paper.
Was that the change maybe when it went from black and white to color, or was that before?
No, that's pretty, you know, we could do one color if we had a few places in the paper where you could have full color ads or pictures, but there was very little capability. When we had that press installed, we could have run color on any page. It was just a great opportunity for our readers and an excellent opportunity for advertisers.
Is some of the stuff still in the building today?
You know, there isn't much left in the building at all. As a matter of fact, and at the turn of the century, in 2000 or 2001, that beautiful press was dismantled. As the paper grew, as we began acquiring other papers, Marshfield, Stevens Point, and then of course in 2001, Gannett purchased all of our papers, we all had a printing press in our facility, and we had a staff that, you know, printed the papers. And with technology, we really didn't need to have a printing press in every you know, location, so we dismantled and sold them.
Really, almost 12 years apart from putting a press in to
I know.
press going out.
I know.
So that building added in not that long ago, 26 years ago.
1989.
It's really
yeah.
relatively new, and that's the one with the Tribune blue sign on the end.
Right, right.
When you're looking at it, looking to the south of the building.
Right.
So, well, you had a chance to work there for many years yourself, right? What was your career there in the 80s?
Yeah, I started in 1984, and I started as the receptionist, and I was one of the only people on the first floor of the paper at that time. You see, in 1983, the radio station was sold, and they moved to the location that they're currently in. But the newspaper operation still stayed on the second floor. So when I was hired as the receptionist for people who came in, and I would direct them upstairs or perhaps take a classified ad. It wasn't long before I became the administrative assistant to the publisher. And I really got excited about the work that he was doing. I was getting involved with what he was doing. And then I went to classified advertising, then the retail advertising. I became an ad director. Then as we purchased papers, I became the vice president of advertising for Point Rapids and Marshfield, and eventually became the associate publisher. And then I retired in 1999.
And then you came back.
And then in 2001, I was so delighted to have been offered the publisher's position in Marshfield. And then, of course, I published Rapids and then Stevens Point.
Right, you had a chance to come back to Rapids.
Yes.
And we had a chance to work together.
Yes, we did.
So yeah, there's a lot of history in that building. I had a chance to work back there myself in 1996 with a staff of 2 other full-time photographers.
Mm-hmm.
John Maniaci is the one that hired me. A lot of people might know who he is.
Yeah.
Came from the area. But yeah, it was a lot of fun times, a lot of great memories, and I think the building is going to really move into and shape something for the future of this town.
You know, Tom, my office was, faced the river, but my desk always was such that I would be looking out at the floor at my employees, and so my back was always to the river. And so many times people would come in and say, "What a beautiful view you have. How can you get any work done?" And I never look at the river, and I had my back to that river, and I think a lot of people in our community had their back to the river as well. You know, it was a working river for many years, over 100 years, whether it was, logging or whether it was producing the energy to make paper. And that building just offers an opportunity for people once again to celebrate the beauty of the river and the area surrounding it. I don't think any of us looked at it much.
No, we're always working and moving around, and really no time to really enjoy that scenery as much as everyone pretty much thought.
So you being a former employee, and there are many others that still live in the area, I truly believe that they're very happy that that building is going to be once again used and appreciated and valued, and I look forward to the future that building holds for all of us.
It's a very unique building, and I think it's an iconic place here in the city of Wisconsin Rapids, and be used well. Let's fast forward here now into what's really happened in the last few weeks. We're talking to Kristi Anderson about, but you've been giving tours here as well. There's still tours available. Right now it's cold, but if there was a group together, you would do that?
I would love to share the building. It is cold. The old boiler from 1960 finally has broken down, and we are keeping the building at a minimum, so it's not freezing, but it is cold. If there are people who want to tour that building, I would love to show it to them. It's amazing how many people do not realize how big the building was. And I love sharing a little of the history.
Let's talk a little bit about that tour. Let's go on that tour a little bit. Where you're going to go down in all the rooms, show a little bit, show the press room where it is. We talked about the press earlier here in this program. Is that original press piece still there? That blue part?
Yeah, that is still there, and that was where the paper rolls, the huge paper rolls would be put on, and they would rewind it after the press was over. That is still there. Another neat area, is the camera room where we used to shoot the pages before they would be put to plate. That's an interesting process. Nothing is there, but you can visualize what it was like, just like the old dark rooms that you guys used to run in and, quick develop your film so that the editors and newsroom could decide which picture they were going to run.
Right, there's a lot of little rooms in there, and is there that elevator still there?
The elevator, the dummy elevator is still there, and it is not usable, but yes, that...
I do remember that there. That's right where the plate making is, and there's two rooms that are to the side. But like I said, I had a lot of chance to work in there quite a bit and see how things actually operated. So giving tours up today, they just need to call Incourage, is that right? Right.
If we have enough people who want to see that building, I would be more than happy to give a tour. There aren't any scheduled, but certainly if there's interest, I would love to give someone a tour.
Well, thanks, Helen, for coming on the show here today and talking about the Tribune Building.
You're welcome. Any chance I get to share the rich history of journalism and the newspaper with people, I'll do it any day.
After this short message, we're going to talk with Kristi Anderson of the Incourage Community Foundation to talk more about the project, so stay tuned.
I don't know what's happening. Start a new chat. What did I do? Okay, wow. That is so weird.
Hey! Hi!
Oh my gosh. Hi! God, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm so nervous. Gia, you're so big. Come closer to the camera. Wait, now you're in my face. That was so good.
Well, today in the studio, I have Kristi Anderson here, and we're going to talk about the Tribune Project. But first, I'm going to have you hear something from Kelly Ryan about what this project is about and where we're at.
Why are we here? Why are we doing this? We're doing this because we believe, and Incourage believes, and research shows that communities that are engaged and participate in decision-making processes about what happens in their communities are stronger communities. And that is why we purchased the Daily Tribune building in partnership with Forward Community Investments, another financial investor. And that's why we're so happy to see all of you here. And when we talk about engagement, I thought you would be interested to know that over 200 people have taken a tour of the building, which we think is fabulous also because Helen Jungwirth has given every single tour, and they've been in group sizes that have averaged about 20 people. So that's quite a few tours. We've had an average, when we put something out on the Tribune Building website, every time we post something, we get about 250 hits a day, which I think is awesome. Of course, we had over 200 people at the first event, 225 tonight. And at the first event, you generated 939 ideas. So I think that's pretty awesome too.
Well, Kristi, let's talk about the idea sharing process. There has been 2 meetings held here in the Centralia Center about the project for the Tribune. Let's recap the first meeting.
Yes, the first meeting took place on October 8th. We had 210 people show up, which we were thrilled with. We were, sort of our first invitation for the public to really have a voice in this process. And since December of 2012, we've been trying to figure out exactly what the process would look like. So we're just thrilled that the public joined us. Again, 210 people, October 8th. And the process was really to bring your ideas and to get them all out on the table. So when all was said and done, we had almost 1,000 individual Post-its that were shared with ideas and thoughts and dreams for the space. Those came out to about 168 unique ideas. So there was a lot of crossover, a lot of commonalities between the things shared. So of those 168 ideas, then in heading into meeting 2, we had to think about, okay, how can we organize these into sort of a manageable review process so that at meeting 2, the work could continue and we didn't have to sort of start from scratch, anything like that. So meeting 2 was held on November 12th, and again, a fabulous turnout. 217 people attended the second meeting, which again, we were thrilled that the public is still excited about the process. And our sort of job at meeting 2 was again to continue that work. So to look at the 168 unique ideas, we broke them out into categories. So we took time talking about things that related to recreation, things that related to food, things that related to arts and entertainment, children, youth and teens, social services. We talked about nature, physical space, things like that. And then every table was asked to capture their discussion as part of the first activity. So lots of writing, lots of connecting, and then the second activity was actually for the public to vote. And the major shift between meeting 1 and meeting 2 was that meeting 1 was about the me, the I, and the unique sort of personal individual ideas. Meeting 2 was about the we. You had to come together with your table and really decide collectively what ideas should start to surface sort of to the top.
Well, you're not working on this alone. You have Concordia working with you.
Yes, yes.
Bobby Hill.
Bobby Hill, yes, and her team, they are, Concordia is a unique resident-led design firm out of New Orleans. They've done a lot of work post-Hurricane Katrina, and just sort of a fabulous approach in terms of thinking about how residents can really be involved in the decision-making in their communities, which makes complete sense. Why wouldn't residents have a voice in what happens in their homes? So we're really excited to have them.
Exactly, and it's been a great asset of people coming here for this amount of people.
Yeah.
Really generating the ideas have been great.
Yeah.
The ideas are flowing and flowing. Do you still get ideas coming in anymore?
We still get ideas coming in. The beautiful thing about this process is that it's very flexible and it's very adaptive, because we know that the space is going to have to be adaptive and flexible. It sort of seems that way. It seems like that's what the public is heading towards. And so, we're not going back to meeting 1. There's not going to be another meeting where people are asked to again share 1,000 unique ideas. But as we're talking about the space, when someone recommends a restaurant or votes, come about for an entertainment space, well, then there's much more discussion to be had about what that restaurant looks like, and what that entertainment venue looks like, those kinds of things. So we'll see what has risen to the top as soon as we're able to go through sort of all the data from meeting 2. But for anybody who hasn't been involved yet, there's absolutely still room, no decisions have been made, and there's still room to sort of come and share your thoughts and be part of the process.
Well, we're taping this meeting here just before Thanksgiving. Your next meeting is December 10th.
December 10th,
You're
yes.
going to have more information here by then. This show here is already going to be, you're watching this already here, so but we'll have more information at that time, narrowing down the topics. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, and actually everyone can always check out tribunebuilding.org. We have a resources page there where even if you haven't been able to make it to the meetings, you can see the full evaluations of what every participant who shared has sort of commented, their feedback, which is really beneficial, as well as a summary of both meetings. So meeting 2 and meeting 1 summaries will be up on the website by the time this airs, and people can feel free to view those. All 168 ideas are posted online in sort of their raw format, exactly how they were shared from the community, as well as the voting and sort of what has started to rise to the top. You can also feel free to call Incourage or email us, tribunebuilding@encouragecf.org, and that's all on our website. So it's a fabulous resource for people looking for more information.
Alrighty. Well, let's hear from Bobby Hill about the last meeting and the takeaways she thought came from meeting number 2.
Well, one of the things that we talked about at tonight's meeting was moving from me to we and from mine to ours. And I really enjoyed the part of the meeting when we were sharing with each other, in front of each other, what that me to we conversation was like at the individual tables. And it just felt very genuine, and that people had a good time coming to some decisions and some compromises about what they they chose to vote on this evening. And one woman said, you know, wow, this was really hard work, but it was really fun. And that's what this is all about. So I sure enjoyed hearing that about tonight's meeting.
Well, we just heard from Bobby Hill, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Phase 2. That's the architectural design of the Tribune Building. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so Phase 1 has really been about idea gathering and sort of decision making for the programming of the building, what's going to happen inside at various times during the day, various seasons in the year. But Phase 2 is really about architectural design and construction. And for some people, that's the most exciting piece of this work because it's really the physical structure. It's what this space is going to look like. And what's even more unique about this project in Phase 2 is that very often when people say the public is involved, well, the public gets to choose the difference between a red door and a blue door or something like that. And we're really excited about Concordia's expertise here as well because they truly mean that the public gets to be part of the entire design process. So it's more than just red or blue door. It's all of the concepts and it's all of the guidance is coming from residents. So we're really excited about that, and there will be more information on our website as always, but the public continues to be involved and the residents continue to get to be the drivers.
Well, there'll probably be a big change to the building, I bet. It may not look the same,
well,
definitely not inside, but maybe the
not
outside,
inside.
because it has that appeal of the round building.
Yeah,
it's unique.
And we really hope, the Tribune Building is a historic property along our our downtown. It's iconic. It's something that people think about when they think about our riverfront, and sort of our downtown properties. And so we want to preserve and respect sort of the design elements that are there now, and celebrate those. And so depending on sort of what this next phase looks like and what the programming decisions made by the community look like, we'll take a look, but we definitely want to preserve some of those really unique architectural aspects because the building is beautiful. And because it's built on a pillar system, there are things, the circular portion of the building is likely going to remain circular just because of the way the pillar system is built and because the structure is so incredibly sound. We're lucky for that, and so we want to make sure that we're honoring that.
Well, December 10th is the next meeting, so if you guys are watching this show before then, please attend. Anybody can come. It's always open to the public.
Yes, absolutely. So December 10th and January 14th, if people are watching after December 10th. Both those meetings will be held at the Centralia Center, 5:30 to 7:30, and we always provide pizza.
Pizza, pop.
Yep, pizza
water,
and beverages, water.
And also if they need some kind of childcare as well. So,
yep, if they need help with childcare, all we ask is that they give us a call just so we can be prepared for the appropriate ages of the kids.
Alrighty, well thanks Kristi for all that information.
No problem, thanks Tom.
That wraps up the November 2013 edition of Community Connections. If you know about an interesting subject or person that you feel should be on Community Connections, please contact us at 715-423-0441 or send an email to tlaux@wirapids.org. By getting involved with RCCA, you'll be helping the Wisconsin Rapids area in promotion by getting the word out about many great happenings in the area. To learn more, please visit rccamedia.org. Thank you for watching.